So good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Fantastic. Fantastic. I like that. Who said that? You're going to be very rich. So we thought we might start off this morning with a little general open frame, questions, answers, comments, and stuff about how you're doing in general in terms of the course. So you going to get the mic ready, James? Anyone have any questions or comments you want to have? Put your hands up in the air. Or they're just waving. Go on, there's one over here.
I would like to hear your ideas about finding a niche in doing, for example, a hypnosis training. If you want to do a training of a week of hypnosis, and then like how can you specifically talk to a niche instead of saying, "Do you want to learn hypnosis?"
Sure. Well, first of all, hypnosis itself is already a niche or a niche, right? Secondly, I kind of know a little bit about why you're asking this. So conversational hypnosis is a niche within a niche. It's a smaller niche. So we already have that extra thing. The main thing you need to look at, though, is what is your market research? What have you done? Have you looked in your area and asked yourself, what are people searching for in hypnosis? What are they looking for in hypnosis? What kind of search term are they doing for? Are people more interested in persuasion, in influence, in hypnotherapy? What are people already actively looking for? What's out there, and what are people responding to? When you've done your market research, kind of like we talked about first thing yesterday, then you can create a client profile map, again, like we talked about yesterday. When you have your client profile, you'll know what your clients look like, what they feel like, what they're thinking about, and so on. Now you have your niche. I would do exactly what we did yesterday and say, okay, so we have a 35-year-old lady or a 35-year-old man interested in persuasion, who wants to persuade people for his job, right? Yeah. Now we have a niche, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's really exactly what we did yesterday. It fits pretty much any small business context as far as I'm aware. It's just work exactly the same principle. The only slight issue, shall we say, is a lot of people do this. They think, oh, I have this great product. Let's go find someone who wants it, right? The smarter way of doing things is let's find out what people want and let's offer it, because there's already a demand there for it, right? So do your research, find out who's looking for this sort of stuff already, and then your message will be crafted to fit them. Does that help?
It helps.
Is there something you want to add to that?
That's good.
That's good. Any other questions? Comments, praise? Over here? Praise is good.
Hey,
yeah.
Praise
the Lord!
Thank you.
We're going to have a revivalist meeting now, right?
Good morning, folks. We went out last night, Amir, myself, Ken, and Ryan. And so I wanted to give praise to Amir. He did a really fantastic job with poor Ryan there.
What do you do?
Go ahead, demonstrate.
Yeah, put him on the spot, why don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Just tell us about it for now.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened was he was complaining about having some neck pain.
Yeah.
And so he did basically a kind of a maneuver I wasn't that familiar with, where he pulled it out, had him change the color on it, kind of do a DMI on it.
Okay, cool.
Put it back in. And then also had an issue with, do you mind me talking about this? Oh, okay.
It's a bit late now, isn't it?
Well, before we get to all the juicy stuff.
Yeah.
And then also about nail biting. And so what he did was he implanted some triggers. Do you mind? No. Okay. You might want to put the camera on him. For those of you who can't see it, what happened was there's a subconscious trigger that was put in where every time he sees a wave, you'll see
do this
his
now
face.
all day.
Good man, I like that.
So big props to Amir there. So.
Good job, well done.
Very nice, very nice.
Now, yeah, man, woo! Now, let's just put this, actually this is a really useful thing to talk about because this is actually where we're going on this morning. Imagine, I mean, this is kind of an impressive demo, isn't it? Imagine Amir had a room full of people like yourselves, and he pulled someone up who had a neck pain and had some other issues as well, resolved them, and at the end, everyone's going, oh, this is so great, let's do a wave, and he's like, ha, and someone else goes, let's do a wave, ha.
He's back there still.
Having fun there? How much more likely is it going to be, do you think, that people are going to think, this is the person that's going to help me solve my problem. They're going to go to the back of the room, sign up for a sheet, get his freebie, come visit him as a hypnotherapist, and really be an enthusiastic client having seen something like that. What do you reckon, right? So do you see the difference between that and the classic thing that most people do when they do their pitches, which is, oh, come to me because I'll fix this and I'll do this and then I do these things in like 10 seconds flat, yeah! And people go, what? You see there's a real disconnect at that point. So the more value you can offer and the more you can have people experience what you have to offer, really there's no substitute for a demonstration or an experience of what you can do, especially with something as fascinating as hypnosis. Does it make sense, everyone? Right?
Yeah.
So good job. You're on the royal road to making a lot of money. Yeah. See, I knew it.
There's one of my favorite marketers, internet marketers, talks about that as a principle, and he calls it giving people results in advance. And that's something that I strive to do in every one of my marketing efforts. And you're giving people an experience. The more they can experience you for free, for very, very low cost, the more they're going to be just enamored with you.
Yeah.
As you've seen. So great job.
Yeah. You just met a client. Make sure you put him on your list.
Exactly.
Good job. Well done. Any other comments or questions? Well, I guess we've done either a very good job or a very bad job, right?
All right.
All right, so what I want to get on today is, let's start a little bit again with the map, right? So where does Johnny begin always? He starts at home, building his hut. That's his place of business, right? Where's the first place he has to go? The marshes. What do the marshes represent? Market research, right? Is there more than 3 of you who realize that? So what does it represent? That's right. So someone quickly give me one example of something specific you can do for market research. Quickly. Facebook. What are you going to do on Facebook? So you're going to look at other people doing hypnosis in your area on Facebook, and you're going to check out their pages to get a sense of what's out there and the messages that are being spread and so on, right? Very good. So then the reason for doing market research is to get to the village, right? What happens in the village? You observe the people, and what do you do with it all? You make a profile. You have a nice little client profile tool, did you not? Who here enjoyed the client profile tool you played yesterday? Yes? Does that make your life a lot easier? I wish I invented it, but I didn't. The credits on the bottom of the sheet there it goes to. It's a brilliant tool, so enjoy that. So once he's got himself sorted out, he has a sense of what his market wants, what his clientele want, what they like, what they feel, what they think. He makes friends with this virtual person that represents the ideal client. Now he can start picking locations where that ideal client goes to. You see, you won't know if a yoga studio is more appropriate than a doctor's office until you know who you are trying to talk to, right? And then you also need to know in your local area, where do those people go to? You see, let's say your specialty is pain control. Absolutely, a doctor's office might be the appropriate place, but maybe in your area, people with pain like to go to yoga studios because they're more, say, spiritually inclined and think that doing yoga might help them get the mindset right to overcome the pain as well. They might go to, holistic centers and so on. Does that make sense? Or you may be in a totally different area where they only go to the hospital, a doctor's office, or the pharmacy, because that's the kind of mindset they have in that particular area. You will not know until you do your market research. Make sense? Now, you all had a chance to play with the idea of how to talk to the owners of these places to get them or inspire them to allow you to come and talk to the people that collect there, right? And you all had an experience of that yesterday, did you not? Yes? And it was easier than you thought once you treated the owner like a client. In other words, you did your research, you found out how they think, how they feel, what they need, what they want, what they desire, what they dream about, and you made your message for that. Suddenly it becomes very easy to talk to these people, right? Yes? And then, of course, you did your lecture demo, and we did some other things around that yesterday, right? So, what I'd like to focus on this morning is how to do that lecture demo. Because really, that's going to be one of the key pieces in your engine, right? That's one of the key ways you're going to start feeding people into your system, into your machine, so they can get processed into clients and other people and so on, right? So, the first thing I want you to just think, this is just something to think about or have inside your mind. Oh, that's already there, good.
There you go.
there are 4 objectives. There are only 4 things that you want to achieve with the lecture demo. And you need to really keep this uppermost in your mind whilst you're doing it. The first one, of course, should be obvious, because it's, well, if you don't do this bit, people go, well, I'm not quite sure why I'm here, right? Your first objective is to teach something. It's to inform or educate them about hypnosis or about the field that you want to specialize in. Thank you. Now, you're a hypnotherapist, and you probably have a specialty. Well, you wouldn't want to have a specialty, otherwise you haven't got a niche, and if you don't have a niche, you don't get rich, right? Or at least it's very difficult to. So the things you teach them about, and we'll talk more about, you know, the content in a moment, will be related to that niche. So about hypnosis, or about weight loss, or about weight loss when you're in your 20s, or what about weight loss when you're in your 80s. There may be different issues involved in the different age ranges, for example, right? Pain control, if you're a laborer, may involve different issues than pain control if you're working at a desk, right? So your teaching elements will relate to both hypnosis, your niche, in other words, the specialty, pain control, weight loss, and so on, and the specialty of the niche that you've chosen, like laboring and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So you understand the first step, yes? Yes. The second objective, in some respects, what you can call this is the conscious objective, because the conscious mind is the one that wants information, it wants data, it wants facts, it wants to lead people to say, look at all these things I've learned, right? The second objective, believe it or not, this gives them a reason for being there. The second reason, this is the reason they will want to come back over and over again. This is the reason why they will be your best clients ever. The second thing you want to do is in some way transform them. This is the unconscious reason for being there. One of the simplest ways of doing that, I mean, I'm not talking about, sure, you can do like a phobia cure, and maybe you heal the whole audience, like, heal! Oh, we're done now, great, right? It's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. The transformation I'm talking about here is a very simple, very low-level thing, which is an experience. Have you ever had an experience afterwards, you went home and you felt elated, you felt, this is great, I'm so glad I experienced that, right? Or think about it. Why do people go on these exotic holidays? So to be able to go back and talk about it and think about it and feel good having had that experience. If it's just a question of, look how beautiful the beach is, they could switch the TV on and save themselves a lot of money by watching a DVD of how nice the beach is, right? So it's the experience that changes them, it transforms them, and that's something that they value, particularly the unconscious level. Does that make sense? So if all you're doing is giving them facts, well, you'll be missing a lot of what makes people excited about you, what makes people want to be your clients, and so on, right? The third thing, or the third objective you want to include in your lecture demo is something which I think most hypnotherapists and most hypnotists, even if they know about these two things, do not do. In fact, I'd say most business people forget to do this. I have a friend of mine, actually you may know him, he's one of the hypnosis masters, the charisma coach, and he speaks on big stages. He gets invited all the time to speak to audiences of 500, 800, 1,000 people, right? And he's saying, like, this is great, you know, he gets paid well for this, and it's fantastic, but at the end of it, he doesn't see many clients out of it, and he was always perplexed by this. So we had a chat about this, and there's one thing he was missing. Would you like to know what that is? Yes. It's this. He's got to make an offer. He's got to say, hey, I've got something for you. Do you want it? Now, the reason he didn't make an offer is the same reason why a lot of people don't make an offer, because they think making an offer is sleazy. It's like, oh, you know, buy now, over there, product. You should realize how much you want this. You see where I'm going with this? It gets a little sleazy, doesn't it? Now, the thing is, the only reason people think that making an offer is sleazy is because the only offers that they recognize as offers are the ones that are so overt, so obvious that they are sleazy because they're pushy, right? You can make a very casual offer, which is genuine, and without being pressure and without being pushy, without being any of these things, where people genuinely go, wow, thank you for offering me that. It's an opportunity I really appreciate. Do you understand the difference between this, right? Anyone here been on a seminar with me before? Anyone ever buy a product with me before? Everyone here happy that they bought that product before, right? So do you find it are you offended that I gave you the opportunity to find out what's available and see, oh yeah, you know what, I'll have this time? No, right? So by the offer, all I mean is to say, look guys, did you enjoy yourself? Yes, great. Well, I want you to know that if you enjoyed this, I have something you'll really love, which is like that. And if you want that, well, have a chat to me in the back, or you can get in the back, or sign up for in the back. If you do not ask, you will not get, right? Because if you just say, thanks very much, great show, and you wait, hanging around awkwardly, it's the equivalent of having no bridge to cross the river, right? You've got to build the bridge to make it easy for them to come over to the other side, and you probably have to go first as well. You have to lead them across, say, look, it's okay, look, jumping on the bridge, it's easy, it's safe, come and follow me. So do you understand the idea of making an offer, right? You don't have to be pushy or cheesy or anything or sleazy or anything bad. All you are doing is saying, here's what I have available. Do you want it? Right? And Marcus is saying when he started doing this at the end of his presentations, the crazy thing is, the people he was presenting to started coming up to him. Well, first of all, he sold out, right? He brought a whole bunch of products and stuff, and he didn't bring enough. And he went like, this is crazy, right? The second thing he realized is, people were coming up to him and saying things like, I had no idea you had all this stuff. How could they if you didn't tell them about it? So, I mean, think about it, right? So you understand the importance of making an offer as part of your lecture demo, right? Don't worry, we'll go through this again in terms of an experience, and you'll and have techniques for all these different things. Right now, I just want you to get a sense of the main objectives that you're trying to reach with your lecture demo, right? The fourth step, I haven't got a proper label for it really, I'll just call it clarify. As part of building the bridge, you want to make it easy for people to go from where they are to Johnny's hut, correct? As simple as possible. If what you do is so obscure that no one understands it, how can they possibly want to have what you have to offer, right? Did anyone here used to watch that TV show Friends back in the 90s and so on? Remember how they had this long-running joke for like years that no one has any clue what Chandler did? Remember that part? It's like, what's Chandler do? It's like, I don't know, right? The problem he's got is he can't clarify what he's got to offer. There's no box they can put him into. Is this a human trait? We want to put things in boxes, we want to look unique, nice little labels. So they need to know you're the hypnotist that does X, because that's going to feed right into whatever their problem is, their need is. So you've got to make sure you're not just teaching them stuff that's interesting, you're not just transforming them because you're amazing, you're not just making an offer they might find valuable. All of this has to sit within the context of keeping the message simple and clear. I do X, you want X, look at this, we have a perfect match. Now you experienced this on the very first day, yesterday, the very first exercise you did when you went around and met people, right? You met a few people who were very nice, but yeah, that's fine. Then you met one person who, when they asked you, what you want, what do you need, how can I help you, suddenly you discover that you have a perfect connection, you have a perfect matchup, right? Now remember how good you felt when you found someone who had exactly the right skill or the network or the whatever that you needed. That was a pretty important moment for you, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what this is about. It's be very clear about what you do, what you offer, who you are, so they can understand it in as simple term as possible and how it relates to them. So this is all about making sure it relates to them and they understand how you guys relate to each other. Does that make sense to you guys? Simple four ideas, right? So I think what we should do now is actually put this together into an actual simple structure to actually do it. Would that be of use to you guys? All right, we're now going into a moment of mayhem. So I would encourage you to take all your notes, all your pieces of paper, and put them somewhere safe. If you have laptops which look very much like other people's laptops, I see a lot of Macs and stuff around, maybe you can put them in a bag or something like that so people won't actually walk off with your laptops and find all your private pictures that you really don't want to go out there. Otherwise, YouTube might be very interesting in the next few months. And then please put everything off to one side. When it's done, I'd like you to get into groups of 3, stand up in your groups of 3, and face this way silently to let me know that we can continue. There's a lot of you in the room, and I'm going to teach you how to do a lecture that can last anything between 1 minute and 1 week, right? The process will be identical no matter how you scale it. So for the purposes of what we're doing here, I'm going to push you a little bit to keep it within the 60-second mark, because you're better off getting the structure in quickly and repeating it than spending a week doing it and going like, well, what is it I did again? You right? So please, speed is of the essence. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do, is right now, very quickly inside your mind, or if you want to talk with your partners very quickly, I would like for you to select or come down on a specific topic, something that you think might be a niche that you would be interested in being a hypnotherapist about, right? Could be weight loss, could be pain control, could be stop smoking, could be stress management, could be performance enhancement. There are many different niches. Do you all have an idea in mind of a specific niche that you might be interested in? Do not worry, you will not be stuck with this niche, right? This is just for the purposes of you being able to do the exercises, yes? Does anyone not have a niche in mind? So you all have a niche in mind, yes? Okay, so the first exercise is really simple. What I want you to do is in your little groups of 3, one person will be the presenter, the other 2 will be the audience, right? You'll all take turns. And all I want you to do is stand in front of your audience with a big smile on your face, think about how cool your niche is, how much you like it and how much value it has for the world. And then all you need to do is give them the quick introduction of what it is. I'm going to talk to you today about hypnosis for pain control. Is that so difficult? All you're doing is giving the equivalent of a title. I'm going to talk to you about hypnosis for pain control, or welcome to the pain control lecture demo, right? Or welcome to hypnosis that's going to show you how to reduce your pain. I don't care how you say it. All I care about is you take less than 10 seconds to do that. Is that easy?
Yes.
Off you go. All 3 get to go. So is that easy? Yes?
Yes.
So next thing I want to do is I want you to put yourself in a state of mind before you give your short introduction so that they get to feel the way you think they should feel about your topic. Because remember, they're going to look to you about this. Let's put it this way. If I came up and said, hi guys, welcome to this really exciting business method training. I think you'll really enjoy it. Right? It doesn't really set the tone right, does it? So we'll give you interesting little tricks so you can set that yourself very easily, right? How many of you trained with me before in terms of hypnosis? Who's familiar with the idea of H+, right? So the idea of the hypnotist state and so on. So I'm going to use a variation of this. It's very quick, very simple. All I want you to do is just close your eyes for a minute and just get in touch with why you're excited about your topic. Can you do that right now? You should feel a slight glow of an emotion starting to develop. When you have that, I'd like you to open your eyes and notice how your vision has naturally expanded. You've gone into more of a peripheral vision. You see more of the room. As you have that, allow that vision to continue to expand even further and notice whether or not it increases the feeling you have. It doesn't have to. Then I want you to actually just look at your audience, the members of your group, with those kind of soft eyes, that smile, that sense of something really nice is happening here. And in that state, you can tell them, welcome, it's nice for you to be here. I'm going to talk to you about X. Nothing else, no reasons why, no motivation, just literally that they know they're in the right room for whatever talk they've come to listen to. Does that make sense to everyone? And notice how much calmer the whole vibe becomes, or how much more, well, less salesy it becomes. You're not trying to persuade them like, no, please listen, this is really good for you. It's more like, this is my truth. This is something I really believe in, and I'm going to share this with you. That's the kind of attitude that is exuding. So just play with that for a moment. Again, 30 seconds, 10 seconds apiece, and then come on back. All right, guys, so welcome back. How do you find that? Was there a palpable difference between your introduction this time versus the last time? Yeah? Who felt a little less anxiety the second time round, right? Would you like to know why people get performance anxiety, why they get stage fright, so to speak? Would you like to know what the reason is? Right? Psychologists will give you all these crazy Freudian things about, childhood and wet dreams and cigars and frogs and monkeys, I don't know. In my experience, none of that's the case. Really, the main reason why people get some kind of performance anxiety is the person they think they should be in front of everyone else and the person they think that they are when they wake up in the morning are not the same. So they're trying so hard to not be themselves, they feel cognitive dissonance. And the strange thing is, the larger the audience gets, the more the cognitive dissonance, because they become separated more and more from this idealized person that they think they should be. Make sense? And ironically, by trying to be that person that they're not, the more they do that, the more they go in the opposite direction. They become someone they're not, but someone they're not in a very uncharismatic way, right? I actually got this from a guy called Keith Johnston. He's a theater producer for improvisational theater, a genius of a man. And he likes to tell people, in improvisational theater, they're basically improvising comedy right in the moment, right? And one of his things is to say, look, the reason why people aren't funny is because they try to be funny. But when they don't try to be funny, they just say whatever comes off their mind. They just do what they, just whatever comes up. In other words, when they try to be boring, yeah. Whenever they just try to be boring, people are naturally fascinating and interesting, and people will find them interesting and find them fascinating. So you have a double whammy. Not only do you bypass the very mechanism that creates stage fright or performance anxiety, you actually become more charismatic, even though you might feel less, right? So it takes the pressure right off you. Can we have a microphone over here, please, someone? Robin, maybe? It takes the pressure right off you, and it allows them to connect with you as a human being rather than this plastic corporate image that most people try and project. Do you understand the difference here? What I'm saying? And let's face it, in this business that we're in, as a hypnotherapist, people want to connect with actual people. Yeah. Because why else would they come and see you as a hypnotherapist? Right? Go ahead.
So, Igor, do you have a program for that?
Well, the first time I taught that was in the trainer's training. And at some point, Cliff and I have discussed maybe doing a shortened version of it for people. But right now, you're getting the real crash course version of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, we could spend 5 days. I spend 3 weeks with our trainers teaching them how to present. Right now, we spend a morning to do the same thing, so we'll condense it right down. So you're getting the crash course right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
I thought maybe you had a hypnotic CD that we could purchase.
No, at the moment we don't. We have the group hypnosis masterclass, which talks about the training dynamics and the setup, but then actually the presentations themselves, you need a live environment to actually demonstrate some of this stuff.
Okay. I was just wanting to go straight for the,
You're there.
Thank you.
I love you guys. What can I say? And just for you, yes, I will sell you something. Yeah, right now we don't have anything like that, but in due course, it'll come. The question, who asked us?
You asked us a question to get into that state.
Oh, right. So the question that I asked you to get into that state, in other words, the question you're going to ask yourself or reflect on is very simply, when you think about the topic that you want to talk to people about, I'm going to presume the reason you want to do pain control, weight loss, whatever it is not just because you want to make a quick buck. It's because, in part, you are passionate about this. You really want to help people with that particular problem, right? So it's a double whammy for you. You want to help people, and it'll be lucrative too. If it's just about the money, don't do it. Seriously, it'll be a soulless thing. It'll be a lot harder for you to work that way. I know people who do that, but they burn out, right? So the only question is for you to ask yourself, what is it about my topic that I'm passionate about, that inspires me? Well, how do I feel about this, right? Or maybe the way I think about it sometimes is, I did this morning, I do it every morning when I prepare myself. I see all of you lot sitting in these chairs. I go crazy on my hallucinations. And I literally see you guys moving through the day. So at the end of the day, you're excited, you're enthused, you've learned something, you feel fantastic, knowing that you really got something out of it. And then I ask myself, do I want that for you? And clearly the answer is yes. And then I feel the right way, and that feeling is called state-dependent learning. The right behaviors come out, the right information comes out, the right sequence and all the rest of it starts organizing itself around that. Does that help you?
Yes.
And the important thing is, and this is a little, I'll give you a little advanced tip. You don't have to do this or not. This is something that I do and I've taught my trainers to do, but it takes a little longer to drill in, shall we say. More time than we have here, but I'll give it to you anyway if you want it. So you prepare yourself mentally first so you can feel that glow, and you might even want to visualize the group in front of you, enjoying the, learning from it and growing as people. And then when you notice, when you open your eyes eyes naturally have expanded the vision slightly. You already created a bit of peripheral vision, right? That's because you've created parasympathetic nervous system arousal. Allow that to continue, allow it to expand. So right now you should be able to see the corners of the room, maybe a little bit of blue in the background from the ocean view outside and so on. And with that state, I'll typically look around the room at all the people there until I have a sense that I've connected with each individual, with each pocket of individuals, and I feel connected to the room. Now, I do not feel afraid because I'm amongst friends. Has anyone here ever felt afraid talking to a friend about something that, is part of your friendship? Not really, right? It's only when you talk about a stranger who you don't feel connected to, which is going back to the idea of trying to be someone else again, that you feel that, right? So if I'm from a room full of friends, how could I possibly be afraid? Sure, I can make mistakes, I'll misspeak things, I'll say the wrong things, but chances are if I say the wrong things now, you'll just laugh and go, ha ha ha, you're a funny man. And I go, yeah, funny. Right? Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
So this is easy so far, right? Let's take it up a little notch. So we've prepared ourselves, we've given them a short introduction in terms of, this is my topic, this is the topic that I'm going to share with you today, just to let them know what's going to happen, right? Now, we're going to start including their conscious mind a little bit. We're not going to teach anything yet, but we want to include their conscious mind. The simplest way of doing that is to give their conscious mind a reason why they should be here, right? Now, this will be easy because you've already selected your audience ahead of time according to your client profile, right? If you want to talk about, I don't know, mystical states of being, zing, right? And you've gone into a big corporation, and you're talking to their sales team, and they're interested in influence and persuasion, and you're kind of like, I want to talk to you about interesting states of being, zing, and I go, what? There's a disconnect there, right? So the fact is, you will have selected your audience according to your message. That's why we've got the whole farmers markets, and you choose them and so on, right? So then it should be very easy to give them a conscious reason why they should be there, shouldn't it? Right? I'd like to talk to you about weight loss. Has anyone here, feel like they have a few extra pounds and want to lose? Shock horror. Has anyone here ever tried losing weight and put it back on more afterwards? It sucks, doesn't it? Does that give them a reason for being here? I would like to show you why the yo-yo diets fail, how to stop that for good, and how to make sure you reach the shape that you want and stay there pretty much effortlessly, naturally. Who'd like to have that? Anyone? Right? So do you see how I've selected my audience, and then my conscious why goes straight to a need that they already know about. It just lets them know they're in the right place on a more emotional level. Does that help you guys? Do you understand what I'm talking about this? Please give me only 1 or 2 reasons right now, because you only have 20 seconds. 10 seconds for the setup, 10 seconds for the reasons, and then the other people have a go too. So in total, with 3 people, you have 1 minute, 60 seconds to do the entire exercise. Off you go. So, how did I go? Good. Yeah? She's a great person. Who's already kind of getting a little enamored with their presenters right now? It's like, I love this person, this is great. I like it. That's a good sign, right? But you've only done 20 seconds so far. Isn't that pretty amazing what you can do in 20 seconds, right? So we're going to do another step now, which will look very similar to the first step, and a lot of you will have blended them together. I usually blend them anyways, but I just want to give you an idea, an extra idea in case you haven't done this yet. It's called the yes set. You're familiar with the yes sets, right? So what I like to do is when I give them conscious reasons to be there, I may as well get their mind engaged in agreement to be excited by this sort of thing. So I'll blend them together along the lines of, who here has any pain? Oh, shock horror, right? Who wants to get rid of that pain? Oh, I'm surprised, right? Who would like to be able to get rid of that pain in a way that they don't damage themselves anymore? And who would like to be able to make sure that pain control, that absence of pain, last pretty much the rest of their life. Anyone? So do you see how I've combined the conscious reasons for being here, the conscious why, with a yes set, so that people are actively engaged in seeking that information. They're going like, yes, that's the information I want. They're making a social or public commitment to wanting that information. It puts them into, or constrains them into, what you want to talk about in your seminar, so that other things don't start coming up. It's just, oh, this is the topic we have, this is what I've agreed to, this is what I want, and they made a public commitment to that. If they suddenly start asking you, yeah, but what about weight control? I say, well, great, that's something we can talk about another time, but you all agreed we're here to talk about pain control, right? Well, yeah, great, well, let's focus on that, shall we? It allows you to basically keep yourself on track very easily, whilst motivating the group and keeping the conscious mind engaged in the game. Does that make sense to you guys? You can do the same, you can do the 2 steps blended together, it's very easy. So it still only takes 20 seconds to do. If you haven't done it with a yes set already, I suspect a lot of you have already, you may as well do it again with it. And if you've already done it that way, you get to do it again. All right? Off you go. Who's enjoying this process? Anyone? Excellent. It's a very simple and it's a very easy way to get in front of a group and start getting them into your topic, right? Now, we've given the general parameters in terms of what we're going to be doing here, right? We have given their conscious mind a reason to be here. We've given them a yes set, which is kind of a blend between a conscious why and an unconscious why. A conscious reason for being here, plus an unconscious reason for being here. It kind of blends the two together. So what I like to do now is give them a clear, unconscious reason to be here. Now, there's many ways you can do that. One of the simplest one, and the one I'm going to encourage you to do right now, is an induction, right? Do a simple trance induction. Now, you can do a formal trance induction if you want. You can do a conversational induction if you want. You can do a covert trance induction, but formally, along the lines of, let's do a quick, warm-up meditation. However you want to phrase it, it does not matter. Do you understand what I mean by this? So it could be as simple as saying, welcome to the weight loss program. I'm very excited to be here. Anyone here want to lose some weight? I figured as much. Anyone here tried to lose weight but didn't lose as much as they wanted before? Great. How about, who would be excited about having a method that will teach you how to lose as much weight as you need to, stay healthy, and keep that shape, that new shape, for the rest of your life? Anyone think that would be useful to them? Yeah, hands are already going up, even though we're not doing the lower.
That's the afternoon session, right?
Exactly. So I'd like to encourage all of you just to think about one thing which is of great importance. You'll have a lifetime of experiences that you can reflect back on right now. Now, some of you might find that reflection process easier with your eyes closed, and you can do it with your eyes open. It doesn't matter, as long as you remember that when you were young, you were a totally different person than you are now. You've grown, you've changed, and your metabolism has kept up with you as a person throughout that process. Now, of course, in the past, you've done things that in the future change the way you looked and felt and so on. But you've made some tremendous transformation as a person. There are things you used to be afraid of or you used to dislike that now you've got quite a taste for. Now you know you can do. So as you just sit or stand there comfortably and think about all the changes that have gone through in your life, many of them happened totally outside of your awareness. What we'll be doing here today is getting in touch with that comfortable part of you now that makes changes easily, naturally, effortlessly. Because when you touch on that, changing your shape, losing some weight, becomes one of the easiest things in the world. And I want this to be easy for you, so that when you leave here, you have more tools, more insight, and above all else, more faith in yourself that you really can do this. Does that sound like something you guys want to do? Yeah? You can hear the induction, right? So I really don't care what kind of induction it is. You can do a formal one, so just close your eyes, and I want to talk to you about some important things. You can do that too. I don't care. All I want to make sure is you have your 20 seconds of setup. So you have your introduction, your state, your introduction, your conscious reason for being here, your yes set, and then you spend maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds on a brief induction. And please, I know a lot of you like to get carried away and get into it. Keep it brief, 20, 30 seconds, just to get a sense that you're doing something. You do not have to get a result at this point. This is just to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Does it make sense to everyone? Any questions? Off you go. So who's finding this whole idea of presenting in front of people is actually relatively straightforward now? Yeah? So a strong opening will, of course, set you up for the entire training. It doesn't take very long to open. Right now, you've taken, what, less than a minute, right? Depending on, I'll talk to you afterwards when we finish all this stuff in terms of how you portion timings, depending on how much time you have in front of an audience. For now, we'll just get used to the process and, we'll add the other stuff in. Up until this point, we've been really working through the whole opening phase, right? We haven't done any teaching yet, really, as such. We haven't done any demos or anything like that. This is the opening phase because it allows, this is really, in my opinion, the most important phase of any training, of any presentation or seminar, because it puts the audience on your side. If they're not on your side, you're royally screwed. I'm serious. It is not fun. I've been there, and I know a couple of you guys have told me about how you've been there too. It's not a good place to be, right? So even though it doesn't take very long to do this, I never, and I remember repeat this, I will never move past my opening sequence until I have my audience there. Now, there's some things I can do that looks like I'm starting to teach, but I'm still doing the opening. I'm actually not teaching yet, right? There's one last thing in the opening sequence we haven't dealt with yet. You see, so far we have the introduction with the whole training state. We have the conscious reason for being here. We have a yes set, which is kind of a blend of the conscious and the unconscious reasons. Sometimes they kind of come in together. And we kind of have a simple sort of induction process to give the unconscious mind a reason for being here, right? It sets them all up nicely. And especially, I like to use the induction process there as a general learning induction, because they're here to learn and improve and grow. So some simple themes or trance themes you can put into that, right? The last phase, or the last part of the opening phase, is one of the most critical of them all. I call it the warm-up, right? There is a certain dynamic that happens amongst groups, and initially you'll see them coming in and they're all hesitant, and maybe they know each other, maybe they don't know each other. If they know each other, the dynamic is amongst them and you're excluded. If they don't know each other, they'll have inhibitions and they may project that onto you, and that's when storm starts brewing. And you want to avoid all those things. Now, with a good warm-up up to the induction, for example, you've done a lot of that stuff already. You've broken down a lot of those barriers, especially with the induction. It leaves people in a nice, happy glow and so on. But the pattern that you set right at the start will be the pattern they'll expect for the rest of the seminar, the rest of the training. So, if all you do is speak to them for the entire morning, let's say you're doing a one-day training, if you just speak to them for the entire morning and suddenly say, let's do something, they will resist with the viciousness of a beaten dog that's hungry and you have a stake tied to your neck, right? Because the pattern you've set is, you sit there and listen and I'll talk, right? You've got to be able to break that pattern whilst playing with the dynamic a little bit. So the simplest way of doing that is a simple warm-up exercise. Have any of you been to more than one of my seminars before, right? Have you noticed the pattern you're running right now is pretty much the one we always run? The first thing I do right after a trance induction is to get people on their feet and doing something interactive with each other. It's typically like a meet and greet sort of thing. What it does is it starts breaking down the barriers between people so that they become a group amongst themselves. And it gets them used to doing activities so that I can ask them to do activities later on. I can get responsiveness out of them. Otherwise, it's very difficult to even get a hand raised when I say, anyone want this? Anyone alive? I'm not lifting my hand. Are they lifting the hand? Right? I've seen it happen, and it's happened to me, and it's really unpleasant when it does, right? So a really simple way of doing that is then the nice, happy trance glow and so on, and say, all right, guys, give them a sort of a reason or a pseudo-reason for doing this. Okay, guys, I'd like you to just get on your feet and just spend a minute or two to get to know everyone in the room. That's a really lighthearted version of this, right? Typically, I'll try to match it to the actual training that we're doing. So if it's about weight control, I'd like you to spend a minute or two meeting everyone, greeting everyone you meet here, and share with them your reason for being here, your story in terms of what you've done before and what you're hoping to get out of this session, right? The content itself is really irrelevant. What I'm really interested in is watching them go around, meeting each other, And there comes a point where people start being a little bit hesitant at first, and they're kind of doing all this. And after a while, they forget, right? They just get into mingling mode because they've been instructed to mingle. As soon as that happens, you see a general buzz in the atmosphere increasing. That's it, you're done. Your opening sequence is over. Your life will be a lot easier at this point. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. Now, there's a lot more to training dynamics than that, of course, as you appreciate. But this is the heart and soul of it. If you can do this, 99% of the time, you're going to be on easy street, okay? So what I'd like you to do is spend, again, another 50 seconds. So it's going to be a quick intro, conscious why, yes set, the induction. At the end of the induction, I'd like you to give instructions for a simple kind of warm-up exercise, some kind of a meet and greet type exercise where they get to mingle with each other. They won't need to do it because there's only 2 people in the audience. It's like, hello, hello, we're done, right? So there's no need for them actually to do it, but I want you to get used to actually instructing them to do it, to ask them, to prepare them to do it. Does that make sense to you guys? So really it takes no longer than what you've already done, but you'll get used to the actual whole process, and then you'll have the whole opening sequence complete. Easy? Yep. Yes? Off you go.
So how was that? Pretty good for you guys? Yes. You're liking this? Yes. All right. So let's go through those steps so we really ingrain them into your minds. This becomes a pattern that you can easily knock out day after day. It can take a minute, it can take a week. Let's do that so that we get something that's so clear in your mind that you guys will be able to do this anywhere. Is that going to be useful for you guys, you think? Yes. All right. So we have our introduction. What is the first step that we want to do in our intro, in our opening? All right, so welcome, right? Let's do a welcome. And what's the next step? Excuse me. The next step is what, right? What are we here for? And the next step is a conscious why, right? Why are we here? Next step after that is a yes set. Thank you. Yes, right? Exactly. And what comes after the yes set? Unconscious why. Unconscious why. We're going to call that an induction for now. And the last step after that? Get him doing warm up. Getting a nice warm up. Good. Good. So what's the first step? Welcome. I only heard like 5 of you. What's the first step? Welcome. All right. What's the next step? What? Next step.
Conscious why.
Next step.
Yes set.
Good. Next step.
Induction.
Next step.
Warm up.
Good. Let's start over. What's the first step?
Welcome.
Next step.
What?
Next step.
Conscious why.
Next step.
Yes set.
Next step.
Induction.
Next step.
Warm up.
Good. You guys starting to feel this become a nice, easy process?
Yes.
Good. What's the first step again?
Welcome.
Next step.
What?
Next step.
Conscious why.
Next step.
Yes set.
Next step.
Induction.
Good. Next step.
Warm up.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask one of you, and you guys can just shout it out, to give me an example. So every time I come to the first one, give me an example of something you might say in each of these steps, okay? So first step.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's a good one. Next step.
We're here about stop smoking.
Here to talk about stop smoking. Good. Conscious why? Anyone?
So you can feel good in your body.
So you can feel good in your body. Next step. Would you like to feel good? That's a good one. Who here would like to feel good? Good. And we could do that a few times, right? Next step. Sleep. Yes. Awesome. And the last step.
Talk to somebody new.
Talk to somebody new. That sounds pretty easy, guys, right? So again, what's the first step?
Welcome.
Next step.
What?
Next step. Next step. Next step. Next step. Good. Next step. Oh, we don't know what that one is yet. It's coming. Just testing you. Good. So I want you guys to go ahead and get back in your groups, and I'm going to give you. Let's do this in 30 seconds. You guys think you can handle that? Yeah. The whole process in 30 seconds. You don't have. It doesn't have to be long. We're just going to go each step.
Speed talk. You need to do speed talking.
Ready? 30 seconds each. Go ahead.
What was the first step?
Welcome.
Then?
What?
Then?
Conscious why?
Then?
Yes,
Then?
unconscious why?
Then?
Hormone.
You guys are good. You don't even see it and you're good. It's in your mind. So now that we've done the opening phase, we come to the second phase. That's the lecture teaching phase. That's what people think they've come here for, right? There are three main things you're trying to achieve in here. And I usually like to do them in a sequence, although sometimes I switch the sequence around. I will give you this sequence that will fit the context of a lecture demo most fully, most appropriately, for a lecture demo specifically. When I'm treating a seminar in terms of a skills seminar, I may reverse the sequence slightly, but I'm telling you this now so you can play around with it as you wish to. You're not locked into the sequence. It's just one of the most simple and fitting ones in terms of my experience for that kind of environment. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. All right, you need to stay in your groups because we're about to actually do this. You can take the notes afterwards. Don't worry, this is real simple, right? So you've done your opening sequence, which is, of course, there's more than one of you knows this, doesn't it? Which is, of course, then, right. The next thing you'll do right after those things, I'm going to ask you to do this just like Joe asked you to just now. Do the opening phase in about 30 seconds to really condense it in. I don't really care if you do a good job of it at this point. It's enough to say, welcome, my topic is weight control. Who wants to do some weight control? Great. Close your eyes, feel comfortable. Now come on back and meet each other, right? It's a token effort, but it gets you used to running the sequence over and over again. You understand that? Right? Actually, you know what? Go ahead and do that now, and then we'll just come back after 20 seconds and add something to that. So it really should be a very quick piece there. So next time you'll do the same thing again, only challenge yourself to speed up the opening sequence so you can spend more time in the later sequences. Is that okay with you guys? Yes, sir. We'll talk about timing, how long each segment should take when we've done the whole piece in terms of the entire lecture demo. So right now, we've done the opening sequence, so it's your intro, your short what, and all the rest of it. The first thing I want you to do in terms of the actual teaching content now is to find something of interest to talk to them about, a fascinating fact. It could be a little fact about hypnosis, it could be a fact about weight control or pain control, whatever it is, or whatever your topic is. Talk to them about, tell them something fascinating they probably don't already know about your topic. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes. Everyone have at least one fascinating fact that they can present to their little audience here about whatever topic you've chosen already, yes? Yes. So, okay, start again with the opening sequence. Please spend no more than 15 seconds this time at the opening sequence. It can literally be a token like, welcome, my topic is this. Who wants to do that? Great, close your eyes. Good, come on back. Meet each other. See how quickly that was? Does not take more than 5 seconds for me, right? So spend up to 15 seconds, no more, on the opening sequence. Then spend about 20 seconds or so giving them one fascinating fact, and we'll come back and I'll show you what to do with that. Make sense? Yeah. Any questions? No. Go. So how was that, guys? Did you enjoy that? Who learned some interesting facts? Anyone interesting facts? Okay. So what kind of facts did you guys come up with? Just throw them out quickly, just a quick version of it. Anyone? Say what? Tiger Woods used hypnosis, exactly. What else? Einstein's thought experiments, fantastic. What else? Pavarotti did not use hypnosis. Interesting spin, I like that. I'm not quite sure why, but I do. Yeah. Hypnosis being used in surgery, fantastic. 7 plus or minus 2, your mind can only handle 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information. Go ahead. Did you know that smoking is a state of mind? Smoking is a state of mind. Excellent. So you guys have some interesting ideas that you can present to people, correct? If you need a source for more fascinating facts, there's some really easy places to go to. Number one, I'd say go to the history of hypnosis. There are some absolutely amazing characters in the history of hypnosis. You can just pull out stuff from them. There's, Franz Anton Mesmer, who was the granddaddy of hypnosis. He did all kinds of wacky things, putting people in big bathtubs with iron filings, and they go all freaking out. And I guess that's the point. He throws the clothes and the washing powder in so they can wash his clothes while having an ab reaction, right? Invented a washing machine, no? There's Milton Erickson, who's an genius, and his stories are fascinating. So really, anytime you're stuck, just pull out a Milton Erickson story. They pretty much fit almost any scenario, right? So there's lots of sources you can go to for these fascinating facts. What's interesting, though, is the next thing you need to do is tie the fascinating fact into whatever your topic is. Now, I suspect you guys did that already, right? So if you're talking about pain control, and you talk about Esdale, doing operations in India using mesmeric passes, he operated on over 200 people using nothing but hypnosis, the power of the mind, to amputate limbs. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Right? Do you see how I tied my fascinating fact now to the pain control? Very simple switch. Can you all do that? Right? So like you spend no more than, I'm going to challenge you now, spend no more than 5 seconds on the opening sequence, 5 seconds. That means you're literally going speed mouth, welcome, my topic, you don't even have to complete the sentence, by the way. Welcome, my topic is, who wants to learn that? Great, close your eyes, come back, meet each other, good, now let's do something else with this, all right? But I just wanted you to get used to those maneuvers in ultra speed. Then spend about 10 seconds introducing a fascinating fact. Did you know Tiger Woods used hypnosis? Did you know Esdale operated on over 200 people using nothing but hypnosis? He chopped off limbs, legs, arms, and they didn't feel a thing. Wasn't that good? Don't worry, I won't be cutting anything off for you right now. However, you will learn a lot about how your mind controls pain. Do you see how that took no time at all? But it starts putting the sequence together for you. Yes? Easy? All right, guys, off you go. Who's enjoying presenting in front of a group? Right? Who's surprised that they're enjoying presenting in front of a group? Yeah? It's good. So it's very easy. In terms of the actual lecture, in terms of the classical lecture style, all you're doing is a fascinating fact, followed by a tie-in or link it in some way to the niche that you're talking about, another fascinating fact, another link, another fact, another link. You can go through that sequence, to pack out all kinds of stuff. Now, the one thing that is very important that you do, especially before you have a break with people, I'm going to assume you're going to do like a 90-minute or 2-hour sort of presentation here, or even an hour presentation. You'll want to have a break at some point after, 90 minutes is probably roughly the maximum before people blow fuses. The one thing you want to do before they have a break, if you're going to have a break, and something you want to do at any rate somewhere in the middle of the training, or early in the training if you can do so, is to give them an experience. An experience of, it's right here, the experience. An experience of hypnosis in action in some ways. And there's basically 2 ways you can do this. You can do a demonstration. Can I borrow you for a moment? Can I borrow your glasses? Sure. There you go. They're down here. They'll be nice and safe, right? Just look at me. Sleep all the way deeper, deeper. That's right, all the way down. That's right, very good. As his hand comes up here, lock it rigid, stiff, stiff and rigid, stiff and rigid. The harder you try and move it, the more it stays stuck. Try and move it. Go ahead and try. And notice it stays stuck. Come on, you can do better than that. Okay, look, open your eyes and notice it's still stuck. Does it normally do that? It's weird, isn't it? Sleep all the way and relax it all the way down. You're doing a great job. I want to thank you for coming up here and doing a great demo. As a result of this, you'll find your ability to learn this stuff and integrate it and use it is going to go through the roof. You'll surprise yourself with how easy all this becomes. As a result, of course, you'll be engaging in behaviors that are going to make you very wealthy in a very ethical way. And you can feel good about that now. And you do you not? At the count of 3, you'll come back feeling refreshed, relaxed, alert, simply fantastic. 1, coming up slowly, 2, and 3. Good job, well done.
Thank you.
I'll just all say it over there. That's an example. Who here feels an emotion right now? Anyone? That's what having a demonstration does for you, right? So now they actually see the power of hypnosis in action, right? The alternative version is to do a group experience. What I'd like you all to do, you can probably sit yourselves down for this if you want, or you can stay standing if you prefer. Yeah, you better. Some of you may actually want to lie down for this one. You may find it a little easier to maintain your physical position like that. And whenever you're ready, I want you to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And once you have closed your eyes, I would like for you to get in touch with some kind of an unconscious process. Only you don't need to know what that means yet. Just close your eyes and notice how you begin to settle down inside. Your unconscious mind runs your body. And I wonder what it's doing in terms of your posture. Is it keeping your left shoulder slightly higher or slightly lower than your right shoulder? Or are they pretty much level? You didn't choose that position. Your unconscious mind chose it for you. Can you breathe comfortably? And continue that cycle of comfort as the breathing happens by itself. And I wonder where the greatest area of comfort is inside you that could grow as you experience it now. With that in mind, your unconscious mind can create all kinds of experiences. For example, you could recall a charming, pleasant memory that you haven't thought of in years and really enjoy it. If you did recall such a pleasant, charming memory that you haven't thought of in years, I wonder how much you would enjoy it. That's right. And it's good to know you have these memories available to you, is it not? Whenever you're ready, allow that memory to just settle back in the back of your mind, but continue to feel the healthy glow that it brought to you. That's your unconscious mind supporting you with resources. And it's nice to have that, isn't it? So that in time you can bring yourself back into the room with your eyes open, feeling refreshed and alert, knowing that something wonderful happened. How was that, guys? Did you enjoy that? Who here feels like something just happened? Anyone? Who just had an experience of hypnosis? Who would want to have another experience like that at some point? Right? Would you like your audience to feel this way about you? Would that be useful? So do you see the value of doing either a demonstration or a group experience as part of your lecture demo? Yes? Yes? Can we have a microphone over here?
So what happens if you're doing a group induction and you're having a couple people not complying with you?
Well, that's fine, because the beauty of doing a group induction is, well, first of all, you can frame it in form of choices. You can choose to close your eyes right now, and if people are saying like, nope, okay, or if you prefer, you can just observe the others having a good time.
Well,
and then when they come back, what they'll be doing is they'll be observing everyone else, and what's going, oh, it's amazing, oh, I feel so good, I felt great, and one or two people go, oh, I didn't get it, it didn't happen for me, right? And if that happens, you go, that's why do you think that happened? I don't know, I really tried to do it. That's right. You were really trying, weren't you?
okay.
And it's not about you trying. Only you haven't learned this yet. That's one of the things we do as a hypnotherapist, is we discover where you try too hard sometimes and really make life harder for yourself than you need to. Does that ever happen to you? Yeah. That's one of the first things we'd fix. So basically you use that as your material for proving to them that it worked.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
So who feels good so far in terms of what they've done? Yes? Everyone? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a brief break now. If you should get overexcited by this and decide to do the entire process you've learned so far during your break, well, I can't stop you. However, rest assured that for those of you who are lazy enough to wait, when we come back, we'll be doing the entire process, including a short experience at the end of it, so you can put the whole pieces together. And then that'll be pretty much the second phase, which is the lecture or the teaching phase, complete. Does that make sense, everyone? Any questions? Let's take a nice 15-minute break, get a little bit of suntan, get a little bit of water, go to the toilet, have a fist fight if you need to, whatever you want to do, okay? Off you go.